Hey guys, it's Gus. And this is a strange time in Neverwinter right now. Um my thought is just stay positive, assume the best. But I would add a hint of caution to that. There's been a series of very recent events which indicate that our Zen purchases are very suspect. And with the new transaction shift of leadership, we don't know what's going to happen to the game. They could come in with the best intentions and try to make this an amazing game and keep it going. Or they could scrap it, and then all your Zen purchases would be wasted. So I would just be very cautious right now before getting any Zen whatsoever. Um, and just ask yourself, hey, if this game got turned off in 30 days, would um would I be okay with the Zen purchase? Or if this Zen purchase would be made obsolete in 30 days? I would just be very careful right now. They've created such an untrusting atmosphere this last couple months, and then with the announcement that the game isn't owned by the previous owners anymore, we don't know what's going to happen. But I'm going to assume the best. And what's the point of this video? So if I'm assuming the best, and I'm going to assume they're going to come in and try to improve this game. And if you ask every player in this game what they need to do to improve the game, they're going to get, if there's 50,000 players, they're going to get 50,000 answers. It is going to be so hard to figure out what's going to appeal to the majority of players. Um, there's people who work at the game who think that most players love vanity pets, and that's the purpose of playing. I think they're completely. I think Vanity Pet is a sideshow that you work on when you have completely done everything else in the game. But I don't know people who play the game purely for. There probably is a few, but I don't think it's the majority of players. Um, so I made 10 things, and I might be wrong on all 10 of these. And I do know I have a very unique perspective on this game. I love this game. I think a lot of other people do too, and we want to see it thrive and be successful. And I think the number one thing that's going to make this game, thrive is more players come and less players leave. And so these are just my observations over the years about what could probably be improved. They might all be wrong. You might disagree with every one of them. That's fine. Uh, maybe though the community could come up with a short, concise list for them to focus on. Because right now, if they go to the forums or go to social media and ask what needs to be fixed, they don't know. They're not part of this game, right? They're not. They haven't been in this game for 5 years or 10 years. They don't know. So these are just my observations. So number 10, and there, some of these could probably be towards the very top. Some of it could be at the bottom. Um, First one is PvP. Some of you are like, screw this video. I'm turning off. This is dumb. So here's the deal about PvP. I hate PvP. I don't do PvP. But we do know there are players in this game who are attracted to PvP. And they leave when there is no PvP. So how do you fix PvP? Well, you'll never fix it because there'll always be complaints about balance or whatever. But it's really easy to make PvP alive in this game. Just put a best in slot PvE item that you could use in trials. Everybody would be doing PvP to get that item. And now there's no reason for any PvE players to do PvP. So if they did that, I think that would help improve, attract players who are attracted to PvP, which, the more players we have, the better. Number 9, and I don't care about this one either, but I know there are a lot of players who do because we read about it and hear about it all the time. I don't care about the storyline. I skip everything. But here's the deal about Dungeons and Dragons Neverwinter is there are so many role-playing MMOs out there for people to pick. And why do they pick this game and not other games? Because they're attracted to D&D. And most players who are attracted to this game on D&D seem to get unattracted when they find out this game very doesn't resemble D&D to what they were expecting. So maybe they could improve that and get a lot of those people who are attracted to D&D excited about the game again. Number 8. The help desk is not a help desk. It really exists to piss people off. I could probably pull up the 35 help desk tickets that never one has been resolved. Is probably 4 or 5 emails each, so probably 200 or 300 emails I have with them. Never once, no matter how reasonable it is, video evidence of it happening, they still will not help. And that's okay. I've lived with that. But I think that every time they tell somebody to eat shit, they are potentially losing a player. And so that help desk, we don't know how many players equipped because the help desk hasn't helped them. So maybe somebody should be at the help desk making sure the help desk isn't kicking players out of the game or causing them to leave because they're so frustrated. Number 7. This, for me, would be number 1. Uh, but some players care, some don't, so I put it down there as a guild. If you got a guild atmosphere, a winning atmosphere, a teamwork atmosphere, it improves there's people who still say to this day, I'm in this game because of my friends. It's really, really hard for guild leaders, though, to keep people attracted to the game when there's nothing to do with the guild. I mean, there's stuff you can do, but it's making stuff up. It's pretty petty. I mean, it's fun, but it's fleeting. The guilds have been dead for so long, unless the guild or the alliance are hosting something in house, and they could easily fix this. Well, we would like to see, you know, rank 25 guild halls or whatever. It's spaghetti good. We can't fix it. Okay, yes, that would be great. But there's other stuff. They could immediately change the rewards from Dragonflight to be something that would be useful or relevant. They could change the items that we can buy from the Dragonflight currency to be something relevant in today's game. Instead of a transmute. There's something they could do right now, immediately, within an hour, maybe 2 hours, that would make Dragonflight beneficial to the game again. They could. They just don't. Every single guild leader in this game would love it if they did that. It would make the game much more fun. This could easily be number 1. And that's the Zax, the Zen exchange backlog. Yeah, it's screwed on PC, but it's not that screwed. They screwed it even more when they brought the bonnings, right? They're like, oh, we have a 4-month wait, petty consoles. And they brought the bonnings and they went to 8, 9 month wait. Now it went from, oh shit, we get 75,000 Zen a year to 25,000 Zen a year. And that was purely self-inflicted wound by the game. We know they can fix. The Zax backlog is highly inflated. When we go to the backlog on PlayStation, it's skyrocketing. It's gone up over 10%. It's gone from 36 to 39 million just in the last 10 days. It's going up fast. And we know they can fix it. We know if they put something like an Astro Lockbox with unbind tokens, or an Astro Lockbox with an actual companion that people would use in the game, people would buy it. We saw that the first time when the Zax backlog went from 38 million down to 30 million in a week. Actually, 5 days. It's easily fixable. Or they don't even have to do that. We know that people have been here for a long time. The 39 million backlog is not from thousands of players. It's from a small group of people who have multiple accounts put in Zen orders. They could fix all this. They know how to. They're just not. It's not a priority. But if their priority is making us happy, and we would be happy if the backlog was lessened, they would do something about it. And they have the means, you know. Uh, I don't know. Just put a companion there that you have to have, and put it in the Astro Lockbox and nowhere else in the game. Or they could have done the same thing. They could have put the Knox boxes in the Astro Lock boxes. They could put the Knox boxes in the Bazaar. I think our backlog on PlayStation would have gone from 40 million down to 10 million within 2 days. What? No way. Oh yeah, easy. Probably would have disappeared actually. Diamonds would have became the most sought after currency in the game immediately. People would have been selling stuff in the auction house for pennies trying to get diamonds to buy those things. Fixed as axe. I think some people would say that's the number one issue. But I think it's a secondary issue. Gameplay is the most important. Number five, there was a time when in-game currencies were super valuable. A lot of players don't remember this, but guild marks were amazing. Guild marks were worth a fortune. People spent Zen to get shards, not to level their guild, but to get guild marks quickly. Uh, Guild marks were great because you could buy equipment that people wanted that would spend diamonds on, and they would, not everybody has 4 or 5 hours to play. They come home for work and have an hour, so they would buy something in the Zen. They'd buy some Zen, convert it to diamonds, and use those diamonds to buy those gears that were really good. Maybe not best in the slot, but pretty darn close. They were amazing, and the game has gone very far away from that. That's when I started. You know, Masterwork gear was really good. Maybe it wasn't the best in the game, but people wanted it. It was sought after. Diamonds were sought after. The game has cashers, it has casual players. We can make the game can make both people happy. They did it for years. Um, and then there was a shift of leadership. We could see it instantly when it happened. When all the Zen market stuff just started popping up, and we were like, oh, and then they just started coming. The first time was when we saw the triple mount pack. The first time we got a backlog really on PlayStation 4. Well, we'd seen them on Black Fridays or the 1 day Black Fridays. The 50% offs for 1 day. There would be a backlog, but it would be gone. Uh, and as soon as they started that triple mount pack, it's been a constant downhill since. We all saw it. We've seen it ever since. I don't think this is any genius would have to say that. I think it's pretty obvious. Number four, we need content, and we're not getting it. We're getting a trial, and we're all excited. It comes in February for console, comes in a couple weeks for PC. But the thing is all the players that would be around to be excited for are gone because the last time we had that was July and August, not last summer, but the summer before. And I got it. It's hard to build content, but you don't have to do a lot in this game to get people excited. A lot of the newer players weren't around, but when they brought the storyteller event, the only place to go in the game was PE. I mean, this game was popping. Everybody was doing it. And the game, and it was very you had to do it a lot because after you got enough currency to get the artifacts, then you wanted to run it more to get the currency to get the pages. So it was very engaging, but it wasn't exhausting because it was a short time. It wasn't exhausting like this Voss debacle, which I think's gonna we're gonna see again when the new trial, where we're gonna have to keep farming, and once we got everything, then there's gonna be new rewards that come from it. You know, I think they're gonna do that to us again. But the story, the storyteller event, you had to keep doing it to do it, but you only had a week, so there was a strong sense of urgency as well. And we knew it was over. It was over. So and we saw an end, and it was a quick end. So if we're not adding content quickly, you can add stuff. So the storytellers, was just vaulted stuff brought back to the game. This Reapers, there's people now who log in every day, get their key, do their rack, do their RTQ, and now do a Reaper every day and then log off. That's bringing people back. That's a viable reward. Um, so we know as players that the game doesn't have to have major modules to keep players engaged. They're great, but they could do stuff in between that will get players engaged. And look at 2 times currency descent into Avernus. That's not an event. Nobody gives a shit. Maybe, but I mean, what are you gonna get from Juma that you can't buy for 50K in the auction house right now? I mean, it's it's lost its luster completely. It's been around for so long. Yes, it's helpful, but nobody's farming it like they used to. I don't think. If they are, it's a fraction of the people who are. Okay, people would disagree with this, but I think it's actually higher up than what people think, and that's scaling. So the deal with the content still, right? We have to wait forever to get content. People get strong as fuck or strong AF, and they are like, "Can you help me with this content? I've never ran Castle Ravenloft or whatever dungeon." You're like, "Sure," and you steamroll it, right? To get the shitty ass rewards at the end that nobody cares about except that new player run it for the first time. That's your reward. They said, "Oh no, no, no. We're gonna make this very challenging on you. We're gonna scale you." So not only is it gonna take a lot longer, and you're gonna spend more resources, uh, and it's not gonna be any fun. You're also gonna keep getting the same crappy rewards. People forget scaling. When it came out, the promise was when we got scaling, there would be improved rewards to make up for it. What's it been over 2 years now? Hasn't happened. Actually, we could argue the rewards have gotten worse. Um, yeah, I know there's people who love scaling. You know, all eight of you could just take off your gear and run it solo instead of forcing that opinion on the majority of the gamer base that doesn't want scaled content. If you want the challenge, you don't need the game to make it challenging. You know, you could solo Tom, and if you can't, then you can get two people. You know, but no reason to force that philosophy of scaled content is fun on everybody. People can make it as hard as they want. Run a solo, K match. I don't know, whatever. But it doesn't have to be something forced down everybody's throats, and it is now. And a lot of players who are bored aren't. They will not run scaled content. They refuse to run it. It is god awfully boring. There is no sense of progression whatsoever in your character's build when you get scaled in those contents. I think it causes players to stop logging in. That's my opinion, just from all the people I've talked to over the years. I think I already covered this. We talked about the Zen, but the thing about the Zen is the amount of stuff being added to the Zen market that you can't earn the game is really, really, I think, causing people to have a sour taste in their mouth and leave the game. Used to be this game was modeled as a free to play game, which it still is. But now, if you want something from the Zen market, you have to have somebody else buy it and put it in the auction house at double the markup, and they have no other way of earning it in the game. So, you know, these Zen only items are getting out of control. It's escalating, and it's probably causing some people to have a really sour taste in the back of their throat, and they're leaving. I think it's easily fixable. Why? Because it didn't, it happened, but infrequently. It's not something we're expecting. Now we're expecting every Thursday what's going to be added to the Zen market. You know, whether I am going to piss off our entire alliance and what when you watch the alliance zone chat. Okay, number one, and a lot of people will not know this because they weren't around. There was a time in this game when every single person could join a team and contribute. Literally. That's not the case right now. If you're a 40K item level tune and I bring you into Tom, you are not going to contribute at all. It used to not be that way. Every class had debuffs. I could bring in a brand new ranger who could use long striders, buff the team for 40% damage or 20%, whatever it was, and the team would be successful. So that brand new player could contribute. Now there's two types of DPS. There's the DPS that have the banded bear and the rib cage, and then there's the players who don't. The players who don't almost aren't even DPS anymore. I mean, the amount of damage they don't do is insane. and they're not contributing, and they don't feel like they're contributing, and they're not getting invited. Well, that's not their fault. You know, the T3 is beyond absurd. The Band of Air is beyond absurd. It's RNG stacked on top of RNG, stacked on top of RNG. And they know that. Uh, but before that wasn't the case. Before the first combat rework, I believe after Cholt, is everybody contributed. You could be a brand new player. I could bring you into Cradle of the Death God, and you contributed because every class it seemed like had buffs or debuffs to help the group. So even though you weren't doing damage, you were allowing the damage dealers to do more damage. So everybody contributed. Everybody got invited because everybody had something to offer. That's not the case anymore. The game has forced players to distance themselves from each other, and I think that's easily fixable. And I think if everybody can be part of the team, more people would play. So they're going to come in, and these new owners are going to say, "What can we do to make this game better?" And everybody's going to have their stuff. And that's why I didn't make a video. I've been thinking about this since yesterday. I've actually been writing it down. What are the 10 things they could do to improve the game? And I know some of these are probably absurd. Some of these are probably wrong. But I was trying to think of ideas that were far reaching, not for a small percentage, but would improve the majority's gameplay experience. Uh, Feel free to post your negative comments below. Any type of video like this certainly runs into controversy, but here, very curious to hear your thoughts because somebody may watch a video or a video similar to this and read comments and see what people's opinions are. And this type of video may spark those type of comments. Stay classy, Neverwinter. See you soon.